Welcome to our virtual yoga class. Well, we just passed the spring equinox, the day when the nights and the days are equal length. And in yogic and other traditions, it's a time of year when often there would be very involved cleansing rituals, ways of getting the toxins out. But within the schools of yoga and Chine Song that I've been exposed to, it's a much simpler routine, something that you could almost do every morning. Some of it is very similar to Western massage, and some of it has to do with imagery and directing the flow of the breath to different parts of the body to help stimulate the immune system and the circulatory systems. So let's come to our comfortable seated position. Actually, I got ahead of myself. You're going to need a tennis ball or a small soup can for today's practice. So go ahead and, yes, thank you, visual aids. So go ahead and take a moment, stop the tape, grab what you need. If you know you're going to need something to help you in standing balance, have a chair next to your mat besides the one you're sitting on. And so I assume that you're back now. So now let's come to a comfortable seated position. Without being rigid, let your spine lengthen. Imagine that the vertebrae are like pearls on a string, and very gently stretch from the crown of your head and from your tailbone, lengthening the space between them. Then flex and extend your fingers and toes. Curl both of them in, and then expand them out. Curl in, expand out. Curl in, expand out. And release. Bring the arms down by the sides. Nice heavy weight in your mind, in the arms, almost like you're holding a couple of pounds of weights in each hand. Let that gently lengthen and stretch out the shoulder joint. And this is one of the times that we allow the mind to help us. So imagine you're holding that weight and everything lengthens. Everything stretches out. And then very gently, let the arms move forward and back a little. Forward and back, just a few inches in each direction. And then gently circle the arms. They can circle in opposite directions, or you can circle them the same direction. But gently letting the shoulder and elbow and wrist joints lengthen. Good. And when you're ready, on a deep inhale, let the arms float forward and up like they're gently floating up on a cloud. Pause the breath for just a moment and let the arms float back down. Slowly, fully, and reach a little behind you. And we'll do it a couple more times. Let the arms float up and lengthen and float back down. Good. Let that be the last. Bring everything back to center. Now very gently, let your weight shift left and right. So you go from sitting mostly on like the right or left side of your sitting bones, then very gently flow back to the other side. So you're massaging the sacral area, asking it gently to relax and release. Few more times, that gentle rocking massage motion. Then bring everything back to center. And the same idea, not so much bending your spine, but hinging and moving on the sacrum and the sitting bones. Let your pelvis tilt forward slowly, and let the pelvis tilt back. Hopefully you're a little ways back from the chair, so just come to the point where you engage your abdominals. It's mostly about massaging your sacrum, not about strengthening or loosening anything in particular, except keeping the sacrum flexible. And I'm just assuming you know what the sacrum is, but it's at the bottom of the spine, and it's what helps stabilize and connect the motion of the spine with the stability of the hip structure. Last time. Bring everything back to center. And then gently circle around the sacral area, the hip bones. Very gentle, going one way, clockwise or counterclockwise, wherever you started, 3 times. And then after 3 times in one direction, reverse and go the other. And bring everything back to center. So in several different approaches, the idea is, and it's a physiological fact, that we always try to keep our heads level because the eye's on the horizon. And sometimes what happens, though, is if the pelvis or the lower body is out of whack, that translates into tension in the neck and shoulders because you're fighting against instability or things being off balance lower. So often we'll start with the lower body and get that loosened to allow us to be able to move up and begin doing more work with the neck and shoulders. So very gently bring one shoulder forward and the other back in a circling motion. And after 3 or 4 times, reverse the direction you're going. Circling motion the other way. So they're making a dynamic diagonal movements. After they're about even, bring everything back to center. Interlock your hands, bring them over your breastbone, the solar plexus. Take a deep inhale, and as you exhale, let your shoulder blades slide apart as the hands come out. If that hurts your wrists, you don't have to hold your hands together. Then draw back in. Make sure you remain sitting comfortably erect. Couple more times. And finish up on the next one or so. And everything back to center. Shake your arms out, let everything go. Quick, she's escaping. And bring everything back to center. Take some nice, full, deep breaths. Just a reminder, as much as possible, try to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, except when we direct you to make some sounds. So in through the nose, brief pause, out through the nose, brief pause. Full, deep, nice, relaxing. Then take a moment to find where you feel that your head is level. You don't want to be looking way far up or way far down right now, but just looking from the inside, what is the most level feeling? Let your shoulders move back and down, just gently. And from here, like there's all the lubrication and looseness you need in your neck, let your head, as you exhale, gently turn to one side. As you inhale, gently back to the center. Exhaling to the other side. Inhaling to the center. A couple more times on each side. And if you haven't already finished, let this be the last cycle. And bring everything back to center. Now, very gently, we're going to exhale and turn the head 45 degrees, and then continue the exhale to bring the chin down to its pointing to the armpit. The inhale, bring the head back to where it feels level, and continue finishing the inhale back to center. Exhale gently till you're 45 degrees and finish, bringing the chin down. And bring the head back up to level and finish back to center. 2 more times to each side, please. Move at the pace of your breath. And depending on the speed of your breath, do 3 or 4 times to each side, total, and then bring everything back to center when you're ready. Good. When you're ready, everything back to the center. And now, keeping your shoulders relaxed and slightly down and towards the back, let's all say, let your right ear come to one side and back to the center, then to the other side, back to center. Feeling that nice stretch in the side of the neck. And watch out for our tendency to try to take a shortcut, like bringing your shoulder to your ear. Try to keep your shoulders down. As one of my teachers said, don't try to wear your shoulders like earrings. And the next time you come to one side or the other, come in and stay. And breathe gently into that stretch. Make sure you're not bringing the shoulder up to the ear. And then back to center. And bring the other ear towards the shoulder and stay about the same amount. And when you feel even, come back to the center. Roll everything. Move the trunk of the body ahead and move your legs a little bit. Shake everything out. Back to the center. Now bring both feet forward a little. Nice long spine. Hinge from the hips. Try not to overly round your back. And as you exhale, come down, letting your eyes move in an arc towards the floor. And stay for a breath. Stay as you inhale. Stay as you exhale. And take the whole inhale to come back up. So the reason I said let your eyes move like in an arc is coming back to that concept that we are always trying to keep our eyes on the horizon. We'll have a tendency to do damage to our neck by tilting our head way back as we come down. So think of it as an arc and trace that arc coming down as you slowly take the whole exhale to come down to just where you can with a good stretch, and stay for a breath. And inhale, exhale, second inhale, coming back up. Two more times like that. Take the whole breath to come down, stay for a cycle of breath. Second inhale, come back up. Move at your own pace. Take the whole exhale. And this time stay for a couple, 3 breaths if you can. And after 2 or 3 nice full deep breaths, take a nice long inhale, come back up. And you're all the way up. Bend the elbows and bring the arms up. Goalpost arms, nice and wide. Take an exhale, gently draw the elbows down and towards the ribs. On an inhale, reach up. Not overly stretching, but straighter arms. Then coming through the goalpost, bend the elbows, coming down, reaching up. One more time. And finish whatever one number you're on. And reach forward and down. Good. And let your arms just gently pendulum back and forth. Good. And roll the sacrum again. Gentle circular relaxation of the sacrum. Back the other way. And everything back to center. Good. Bring your right foot out.
Your other right.
The other right, yeah. I'm sorry. We are trained to mirror the students, so my left's their right. And it's really kind of hard to realize we're all facing the same direction here. However, you're in the right orientation to me. So bring a foot out, one that matches the one I have out, and draw the toes to the nose with the knee relatively straight, spreading your toes like you're spreading your fingers. And then very gently push out like you're pointing your foot and try to curl your toes in like you're grabbing hold of a pencil. Then gently stretch up, draw them back as wide as you comfortably can. And then grab a hold as you point the foot, grab a hold of that pencil. One more time. And then after that third time, release. Change to the other side, same thing. Begin by drawing back and spreading the toes. Then reach forward, point, wrap around a pencil. Come back up, spreading. Reach out, grab the pencil. Last one. And release. Let's come back to the first foot and roll the foot in a circle as much as possible. So it's not side to side, but it's keeping your toes to the ceiling as much as possible. Kind of hard, but back the other way. Then release to the other side. So we often don't realize how much tension we hold in our feet. There's a lot of bones, and there's a lot of ligaments, and there's a lot of connective tissue, and they bear so much weight in everyday activity. Reverse, if you haven't already. And so I can feel everything kind of like snapping and popping when I do some of these loosening exercises. So it's a good thing to loosen up the feet as much as you can. Then release and change to the other side again. And now working from the hip, not just your knee, because you don't want to over torque your knee. Let the whole leg roll out to the outer extension. Then gently back to center. And then roll the whole leg in. Back to center. 2 more times to each side, please. And after that third time to the second direction, draw back and change the other side. And the same thing, start with the external rotation and then very gently internal rotation. And the third time, your third time, would be the last. And then release. Bring everything back to center. Good. Nice long spine. Now imagine that image of the vertebrae again. Each inhale, lengthen your spine from the inside. And now keeping your chin above the center of your chest so you're not just pulling with your head, turn from the navel and gently turn to one side. As you inhale, come back to center. As you exhale to the other side. Inhale back to the center. Last time to each side. And back to center. Good. And let's come up to standing. If you need a chair or something for additional security in your balance, if you didn't get one to begin with, pause the tape and grab something. One of the things that I think I've mentioned before that I find very useful is if you have an open doorway, you can set yourself up so you're sitting in the doorway so you can use the sides of it. Now you may need to move your chair forward or back a little bit, because if the doorway is right here, moving your arms to the side may not work really well. But if you're just slightly in front of it for most of the time, and then get directly in the archway if you're using it for balance. So find the weight evenly, left and right as much as possible. And you can, I wouldn't suggest closing your eyes when you're standing and moving, but let your eyes be soft. Let them be very gentle so that you're taking in everything in front of you, but you're not staring hard or tensing. And visualize in your mind the sun above you. Nice, beautiful, warming sun. As you may have guessed from how we smiled when I brought up sun, it's kind of cold and rainy for it actually being just past spring. But as you inhale, let your arms gently sweep up like you're gathering that light. And in any way, push that light down, washing the front of your body. If it bothers you to bend much, you can just in your mind come part way and visualize. But visualize the light coming all the way to the floor and sweep the arms and come back up. And then wash the front of the body again. If you can't bend hardly at all, just stand and push the light to the floor, washing the front of your body. And sweep up. And come down the sides, once again visualizing. Your will is pushing that light, so you may not even need to bend, but if you can, it's a good way to stretch some of the muscles. And last one. And now 2 times down the back, washing the tensions out. This is one where we're really, pretty much all of us have to visualize moving the light with our will. And bring everything back up. Push the arms out and down. Roll the shoulders both ways. Good. And now, very gently, we're going to start coming down this side. But cup your hand. So the idea is that you're pushing the air down the muscles, and that air is actually pushing out the tensions and the toxins. So we're going to come down the top of the arm and up the bottom. 3 times. I'll try not to pound on the microphone that's in my pocket. And after that 3rd time, gently come across your upper chest. And then same thing, down the top of the arm, up the bottom. After that 3rd time, come across. And release. Then make your fingers really loose and bring the fingertips up to this sternal area. And you want to set up a vibration. It helps break up congestion. I've done this so much you can probably hear it in my voice already. Well, not quite like that yet, but very gently loosening everything up. And then adding some sound, so you're vibrating from the inside to the outside. And the sound we're going to use is the syllable ah, just ah 3 times. Ah, ah, ah. And release. Good. And let your weight shift gently side to side. Good. Now go ahead and form very loose hands, a circle. And you want to be gentle. And you're going to reach down and you're going to gently tap around the kidney area. If you can't reach back there, you can use like a rolled up towel or another yoga mat or something, but very gently. You're just stimulating blood flow and release of toxins. And then go ahead and make tight fists, and not on that soft part of the kidney area, but on the big muscles in your hips, tenderizing the hams. Yeah, it's very good for the sacrum, very good for the hip muscles. And now go ahead and pause, and pretty much everybody at this point feels tingling going on back there. That's the blood flow that's been blocked, that's returning and stimulating. So now, come back to the center. You can move your legs a little bit, get tension out of them. And then you're going to cup the hands, and we're coming back to that type of massage, but coming down the inside and outside of the leg, coming up the inside and outside. 3 times on each leg. And after the 3rd time, go ahead and switch to the other side. 3 times on that side. Then bring everything back to center. And I know what you're thinking. What about that tennis ball or that can of soup? Yeah. So let's come back to sitting. And you can do this with your shoes on if you still have them on. If you want to take them off, and I know I didn't make a point of it at the beginning, go ahead and pause the tape and do that. Or you can leave them on this time and come back and do this again. This is a routine. I've had several students who've told me they do this every morning. Just the last part here, the massage. One woman said she did it every morning, and she got well into her 90s. Not saying that's what helped her do it, but her good attitude of being devoted to trying to take care of herself did. So bring the ball to the floor. As you've probably noticed, they've already started. Either side, and what you want to do is roll it with a little bit of pressure from behind the toes, the ball points, and then back up, back and forth, making kind of like a little small W that keeps moving, so that you move from one side to the other with enough pressure that you're feeling it, but certainly not painful, but going all the way. So this is good. Maybe you've heard about the fasciitis, that connective tissue on the sole of the foot. It gets really tense and gets kind of stuck. This can help work with that. And after you've done, a good number of times, go ahead and start near the ball points and go side to side in a zigzag motion, so that you're moving, zigzagging from the ball points down to the toes. And I started with my foot a little bit too far forward, so you can adjust it. And it's quite possible that you might lose control of the ball and have to change it. So if you have more than one, it might be good to have them with you. But a goodly number of times, and then come back to center. Bring the foot to the floor when you're done, and just feel if you can feel that same kind of tingling like you probably did when we tenderized the hams, blood flow coming in, nervous tension being released. And then change to the other side. Same thing, if you can remember how many times roughly, back and forth, kind of a V or W type motion, so that you're moving from one side of the foot to the other. And then coming back and going side to side, moving from the ball point to the heel. And from the heel back up to the ball points. About the same number of times.
There's a nerve there.
Ah, you found one? Yes, sometimes you can find a particularly kind of a point where there is either some damage or some soreness. So let's go ahead and release. And now come back to the first foot. And if you can remember one of those spots, gently bring the ball under that spot and just let your foot drape over it. And you're not pushing down, but you're just imagining it's melting. And let it go down into that pressure point. And let it gently release. 5, 6, 7 breaths. And after you've gone a good number of breaths, release and just observe the way it feels for a moment. And then let's come to the other side. And find if there's a particularly tender spot, and stay roughly letting it melt over the ball rather than forcing it down onto the ball. 5, 6, 7 or more breaths. And when you feel even, release. And take some time to observe. And bring everything comfortably into alignment. Follow the flow of the breath. Inhale, pause. Exhale, pause. And gently let your eyes open. And thank you for joining. I hope this helps you to feel relaxed. And go forward into your day.
Yay.
Thank you.